Okay, so now I've got my 8 signatures. Put it this way. I've got my 8 signatures all sewn together. I've got on my 1/4 inch gussets, I've got my ribbon run through around to the back. And so now at this point you've got one of two ways you can do it. You can go ahead, and which I did on this first one here, you can put some decoration in it. I've got just a few things that I've done here. I put some washi tape around the end of this. Put a piece of, now this is just paper. So this is some cardstock. So I stuck the cardstock to the white side of the paper. Put in a little tuck spot there. Got a little pocket here. That wasn't a real good thing to use. A little pocket here. Got a little pocket here. Yep. Just kind of decorating the pages. Got a flap up at the top. And this is a pocket. Show you the back side. This is a pocket. One of the mat stacks from the Mariposa mat stack. I just chose that and put one of the little pop-out pieces that's from this collection that I'm using. So you can go ahead and run through and do all those kind of things, or you can simply run and let's put the book together, and then you can do your decorating. I like to do my decorating with each individual signature, but for this one I'm going to go ahead and show you what the next step is. Okay, so you should have 2 stitches in each one of these holes in the back side of the signatures. I'm going to start with a needle, thread, and I have doubled the thread up and knotted it at the end. Okay, so that's what I have with the knot at the end. Okay, so I'm sorry if I went out of screen on any of this. I wanted to be close enough. In fact, I think I'm gonna, let me get it a little closer, and I just hope that I stay in the screen here. Okay, so now we have the needle. We're getting our signatures in the best order that we can, and if you can see me, I'm going to zigzag. Oh, hold on. First I'm going to pull this through and get that started, okay? So now I can start here, and I'm going to get under both those stitches but not underneath the paper, because I don't want to add any more. There we go. So we're going to zigzag back and forth. And then we're going to go in this way. And back through this way. And this is just another way of making sure that I am going to be able to keep the book together. It's probably not a necessity that you do this, but I think it will definitely be helpful. Make sure I'm still The first one's the easiest because you can maneuver these suckers around. Once you start getting more and more of these pulled together, it's not so easy. Again, you could totally skip this, but I'm not going to. So now I'm going to go around this one and loop back through in the opposite direction. And I'm just going to show you how to do this one, and then I'll let you get the other ones done. And then we'll move on to the next step. Whoops. Okay, almost done. This, I think, is the most time-consuming part of putting this book together. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel like it was, if it really kind of helped align them and keep them all in solid working order. And you put all this time and energy into a book, you certainly don't want it tearing apart. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of make sure that you can see this, just kind of do a little knot, pull it through once, now I'm going to pull it through again, oops, and I'm going to run it through one time and another time and pull it tight. Okay, so I've zigzagged these back and forth together. I'm going to do all of the rest of it and then we'll be back, okay? Oh, sorry, I zigzagged all of these and I'll be back once I do all of them. So that's the next step. Alright, see you in a few minutes. Okay guys, so I have done all of using that regular thread and gone through each one of these stitchings that's on each one of the signatures. Now I can kind of show you, because I did have a couple of my friends that I talked to on the phone, not just YouTube friends, and they said that I'm not really explaining why I came up with this. So, I love making journals. I love the fact that when you have a journal, when you have that journal, it's like a book. I mean, and I'm not talking about the junk journals or chunky journals that people make, like, you know, that I like the whole idea of creating a book. And it looks like a book, it fits in a shelf like a book, but I also like mini albums where I can put dimensional ephemera and multiple pictures and things like that. So when you have like the centers of these, now the outsides, you know, the pages, you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot. So the reason why I've got stamping and things like that. But when you get to the parts where we're having a 1/4 inch gusset, well, I have a flap. I have pockets. I've got a pocket here. You know, so that you can put, I haven't put anything else yet. I'm just kind of got the basics of the book started. Which, going off topic a little bit, is why I had mentioned to you, if I were doing this book in the order I would normally do it, before I put all these signatures together, I would have gone through and built the basic parts of my book. Not get all of the finishing touches and everything on it, but done all the stamping and built the basic parts of the book, because when you're laying this out, yes, it is wonderful. It goes flat. Look, you open anywhere halfway up in the book, and it's going to be flat. It's going to open flat. You're going to have a nice flat surface. However, it's not going to be flat on the table for you to get your stamping and stuff done. So that is why I say do the basic parts of your book if you can. Basic builds before you put your, you know, do your stamping and things like that. You know, I got flaps I'm going to put up here. But the reason I love journals is that they lay flat. I'm not trying to hold the book open or closed, and even when I get a bunch of stuff on here, I'm going to have a nice flat book, just like a real book. That's what I love about the journals. And the fact that I have gussets in these gives me a flavor of a mini album, so that I can use my dimensional ephemera, maybe not throughout the entire book, but I have the space to play with. So that's the main reason behind why I kind of, you know, why I designed this the way I designed it. Now, you don't have to put as many signatures in. This is going to be approximately 2 inches. It's just shy of a 2-inch spine, which for some people might be a little big. It has 96 regular pages in it, but like, you know, like the center of this one has the flap out, which actually adds almost another whole page, front and back. So, you know, there will be more to this. I want to be able to write stories in here, and I want to be able to put pictures in here, and I want to be able to play like you do in a scrapbook, you know. So anyway, that was the whole reason behind doing this book. So the next step is, if you have, one thing I didn't go over with you, oh, and another thing I didn't go over with you, this is kind of a clarifying, I am actually using, I had told you that all the gluing was going to be done with Aleene's. Well, on this part of the spine, that's what I'm using. I am not, I don't have a PVA glue. Okay, so the Aleene's is going on the spine when we do that, just like you do a journal, with a little bit of a tweaking, but just like the journals. I'm using my Scotch Quick Dry when I'm putting paper on and things like that, except where I'm putting thin sheet to thin sheet, this just regular paper. If I'm playing with cardstock and things like that, I'm using my quick Scotch Dry. If I'm using paper to paper, I'm using my ATG gun. Because inevitably, if I was doing a journal and I used glue to put paper down on paper, then I would just stick it in my book press and let it dry. But I can't do that with the gussets. So that's really not an option. So I wanted to clarify that as well. Okay, so now that we have done all of our intertwining, it really helps for these, get these gussets nice and level pretty much by themselves, and you don't have a whole lot of tweaking to do. It kind of lines everything up for you. But you want to kind of pat this down and make sure it's even this way until you can get it nice and flat. Alright, and then I'm going to stick it in my book press. Now I have really long ones, but the reason is because I can lay it down like this. So I'm going to slide this in. tighten it up. Let's see, Sea Lemon, I think is her name. I did a DIY book press. My husband, I showed it to my husband, and we went out and bought all the pieces and parts, and he did it for me. So I just have been ecstatic with it. He loves to help me out in my crafting. Okay, so this is nice and straight. So if you don't have a book press, then let's see, I'm trying to get it where you can see. If you don't have a book press, you can use a large binder clip, several large binder clips, and clip it together. But you want to make sure you're taking the time to get this nice and flat, okay? At this point, if you don't have them all nice and flat, then you might want to take it out of the press and play around with them again and push and pull until you get it just right. Okay? So, that's where we're at right now, and I'm going to, the only other thing that we need that I didn't tell you about was cheesecloth. If you don't have cheesecloth, it's not a huge big deal. It's something that a lot of people who do the book, the journals, has started using, and I just really thought that was a really cool idea to help pull this all together. So if you don't have it, don't go out and buy it, although it's not that expensive. Michaels usually has it in their sewing section. Walmart will have it in their food section. So you can pick it up pretty inexpensively. But again, it'll do just fine without it. So not to worry, because we're also going to be putting a ribbon across here. And so we'll need a ribbon about 2 inches wide. And at least, this is 9, so 10, 11, 12 to 14 inches long. Okay? All right. So get those things and come back and we'll get moving on this. Okay, so now what I've done is I found this ribbon Harvest. It's a Celebrate It from Michaels. And it was too wide, but I was having a hard time finding anything that was wide enough. So what I did was I took the wires out of it, because it's a wire, and you know, all you do is kind of push back. If you push back on it, the wire pops out. You can see that wire popped out there. And then you just pull it after you've cut the length that you want. Then you pull the wire out. And so you can do that with any wired ribbon, if you didn't already know that. And then it was, like I said, it was wide, so then I just put double-sided tape on this end and folded it over, and on this end. I thought doing this would make it work, but it was still, or I would have worked both of them evenly, but it's fine. There's not too much off. And I like more of the dark brown than I do the rust color anyway, but you're really not going to see much of it. You'll see, you know, just a little end right at the top and bottom of the book. You're just going to see a little end, like you see in those nicer books, and so it'll be pretty. Okay, so now we've got this in our book binding, and when I look at it, the angle that I see in my camera, it looks like these are not flush and even, but they are. It might just be the different colors in them. I don't know, but they're pretty flush and even. So I'm just taking my Aleene's, and I kind of give it a good squeeze. People use brushes and all kinds of stuff. I'm a finger girl pretty much. So, and I'm just kind of getting some thick rows. Airful in this thing. I'm not pushing it, I'm just kind of getting it right up on the top here. I just get about 4 of them here, and then I'll get my finger going. Okay. So this first one, you're not really worried about it being on nice and thick. You just want to get a good coating. Evenly coat everything. Get all your strings kind of going in the right directions. All these little strings. This is all you're trying to do, is just kind of get, and then you can go back and fill in where you need to fill in. Okay. So I'm definitely going to need some more, but I've got a good start. Just want everything kind of caught up. You don't want to get it on the sides of the book, but I definitely want to get all my little strings caught up. I'm going to get a little bit more here. Okay. So don't have really a whole lot going on right in here. Okay, so you get the idea. You're just going to get a nice coating, thin coating, and because we're unable to stick this into the book press up here, get my finger wiped off here for a second, I take, let's see if I can find, I take some washi tape, and I get a piece that's going to go down the sides, both sides, and I pinch, oh, oh, so sorry, excuse me. I pinch it together, not, you know, scrunch, just kind of make sure that I didn't need nearly that much. And this just gives that little bit extra holding those together. Just a little bit of extra holding those together, since we can't put it in the book press. And again, it's not doing anything here, because you know it'll come off the glue. And just kind of pinch it all together. There. And then I just leave that to dry, and I do it again, and I'll come back when it's time to do it again. Alright, back in a minute. Okay, so the first coat has dried, and so now we're going to put our second coat on, and again I'm using the Aleene's Tacky Glue. Just going to get coating that I'm going to put with my finger all the way around everywhere. Here we go. Okay, let's just kind of spread this around. I want it all the way to the edge, but not over the edge. It's a little thin here, so I'm going to add some more. Okay. Oh, I'm holding my book press up with my scrap paper bin so that you guys can really see better what I'm doing than kind of looking down at an angle. Again, you can do this with a brush if you don't like getting glue on you. I find that no matter which way I do it, if I'm playing with glue, it's all over my fingers, so I figured can't beat 'em, join 'em. So I just let it go and get it all over. That's what crafting is all about. I'm sorry I've got a sniffly nose here. Oh, make sure it doesn't go over the edge, on down onto the side or anything. Okay. Now what we're going to do, so we've got this all coated, all covered up. Looks good. Okay. Get this wiped off here. Okay, so now we're going to take our ribbon, and you want it even amounts of sides left, you know, somewhat. It's not a rocket science. And just lay the good side down on the glue. And just want to make sure that you've got it going from end of book to end of book. And you'll see the glue start seeping through, which is exactly what you want it to do, because this is going to help keep this book together. Okay, now I'm going to put some more glue on this part here. And I'm going to take this, let's see, I'm going to put some down here on the edge too. Okay. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it back over on itself. And I'm leaving just at about 1/8 of an inch of the ribbon hanging off the edge of the loop here, just about 1/8 of an inch. And then I want to make sure that I'm getting glue through from the other side so that it'll help stick it. Again, we're going to put glue on this side and here on the end. I'm going to spread this around, and then I'm going to pull this back. The reason why I have the tails so long is that I've tried it using less, and it is such a big hassle to try and get it to stick and glue, and when you just pull back a little bit of the tail, there's so much pressure on it to pop back up that you have to sit there and hold it. When you make longer tails, there's not the pressure to pop, you know, pulling it back up, and you can just leave it. You don't have to worry about that not being pushed, because once you get the actual outside of the book on there, this will be pushed. Just want it to kind of feel like it's even. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna turn this way so you can see if I can do this in, okay. I'm working within the confines of having the book. Okay, here we go. So now you can see there's just a 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch hanging off the edge. See if I can, oops, close in on it here. There. Just about that much. That's all you need. Okay? So, now you're going to let that dry. And then we'll move on to getting the covers and all on the books. Okay? Let's see, what have I got here? Oh, yeah. Let me pull it back out. Okay, so we're just going to let this sit and dry overnight, and then we'll be ready, like I said, to move on. Get your box, your chipboard. With my size, you're going to need at least 2 pieces of chipboard. If you're going to use a box, then you need the box. Whatever you're going to need, whatever you're going to use to make the outside of this. And then I will be back tomorrow and let all this dry overnight, and we will possibly finish up the whole thing next video. Bye, guys.